Aloha, Rich Alverson here. This is ITS128, and today I'm going to finish Chapter 9 on classes, the last two labs. Let me share my screen. And the recording I just made earlier today, we finished up. I've got recordings now for all of this. We just finished up to about chapters 9.7, 9.8. That's really all the farther we really need to go in classes, because interfaces and customization, it's a little bit more just about terminology and so on. Customization allows you to, as they say, override certain built-in functions, and when the time comes for you to want to know how to do this, you can look it up, and it's pretty straightforward. But until that time, it's kind of hard to envision, especially first semester programming, exactly what the purposes of doing these kinds of things are. But anyway, so you can take a look at that. I did talk about this a little bit in the previous video. It's a way of adding functionality to operators like the minus operator and the plus operator and the less than operator and the greater than operator and so on. It's how to override those functions so greater than or less than can work on other things other than just integers and numbers. Anyway, so let's go and continue with this chapter. We finished up chapter 913 last time. Let's start with 914. And I'm going to do a repo on this. So we can watch me code. And then you can always go back and look at this later. So this paste. All right, let's copy this. Copy. And let's put the starting code in there. Okay, so we're given a class called triangle, and then we have to complete the program to read. Given a class called triangle, complete the program to read and set the base and the height of a couple of triangles, and then determine which triangle's area is larger, and then output the larger triangle's information using the triangle's relevant methods. All right, so let's look at this, find out what these relevant methods are, or whatever this is. Okay, so let's look at this class down here. We have a class called triangle, and this triangle class has two attributes. It's got a base length, I guess, and a height. A height. It's got a base length and a height, and this makes the triangle, I guess. Anyway, so now in this particular class definition, it looks like we are using, we have methods for setting these variables. Okay, we normally wouldn't need a set base method, because all the set base method does is it takes in a value and it stores it into there. Well, we could just say, triangle.base equals whatever this is. But in this case, we're actually using a method to do that. It kind of adds more protection to it and so on. And then really, if you wanted to, we could change the name of this to something more, maybe with a bunch of random letters in it or something, and that way it'd be harder to go in for the programmer to go in and actually mess with it. But anyway, that's in this particular case, we're deciding to set these attributes using methods, special methods, as opposed to just assigning them values directly. That's fine. So here we're getting out the area, and the area is not an attribute. We have to calculate the area from the attributes, and so we take the base times the height, multiply it times 0.5 or divide it by 2, and that's the value that we return. And then this print info is just prints out the data on the triangle. Now with this program, we're going to create two objects from this class. We're going to create two triangles, and the first time we're going to read and set the base and height for triangle 1. Then we're going to read and set the base and height for triangle 2. And then we're going to determine which triangle is larger by using the get area method that we have right here. And then we're going to print out the info for the largest area triangle. Okay, all right. Well, let's hop to it here. What kind of this gives data? Okay. All right. So read and set the base and height for triangle 1. Okay. All right, sure, triangle 1. Base 1 equals input. Enter base. Is it a length? I think it's a length. Enter base length. And then I'm going to say, now it's going to be a character string. So I'm going to say base 1v for value equals, are we doing integers? No, we're doing floating point. We're doing floating point. So I'm this base v equals float of base 1. That's base v, and then I got to do the height. Height 1 equals input. Enter the height, and then I'm going to say height 1v, because I'm not imaginative enough to come up with a better variable name. Float height 1. Okay, so now I have a floating. Now I have numbers I can actually use math on. I can't use math on these character strings, but I can use math on these floating point numbers. So now I can set. I'm not supposed to do this. Okay, I'm not supposed to do this. Triangle 1 dot base equals base 1v. Okay, triangle 2 dot height equals height 1v. These are the floating point versions. Why is that? Why is that squiggly? Why is it squiggly? Can anybody tell me why? I am not sure why that's something obvious. Well, anyway, I'm not supposed to do it this way. I'm supposed to use the method, the set base method. So I'm going to do that. Maybe that's what it doesn't. Set base of it's this. Oh, squiggly went away. Okay, so yeah, I'm supposed to use it that way, and so I will. I don't know how it knew, but somehow. And then so that sets that, and then I got to do for height. I have to use a set height. And so I'm setting the height to be this. It always thinks it knows better. Okay, there. So this is how, this should be triangle 1. So this is how we set the base and the height for triangle 1. That's all we got to do, right? We got to set the base and we got to set the height. And then we got to do the same thing for triangle 2. Now, I'm going to do it this way just so you can, you know, to demonstrate 2 ways of doing the same thing. This is the real, you know, verbose way of using a lot of variables, whatever, but very simple. We could trace through it very easily if we want to go through the debugger. This is how we load up triangle 1. Well, if you want to be fancy and use the fewest number of statements possible, we would do something like this. Triangle 2 set base input on a float input enter triangle 2 base. Okay, that does triangle 1 base, and then triangle 2 set height is float input enter triangle 2 height. Okay. So here I've eliminated the use of these extra variables here, but I've sort of nested everything in there all nice and confusingly. And this accomplishes the same thing as this up here. Is one of them any more efficient than the other? No, because really internally it has to do this. Okay, internally it's going to do that. It's just that we can name these intermediate variables if we want to trace them through, or we can let Python take care of it, and it'll be it'll probably allocate them someplace else. But it's going to have a variable like this and a variable like this and a variable like this and so on. So anyway, just so you know, sometimes you'll see it written one way, sometimes you'll see it written another way, and you should be able to at some time, instead of writing them like this, if you're in a hurry, you know, and you don't need to trace everything out, you know, you just kind of write it like this, and you know, you should be able to sort of see that in your head. All right, anyway, so I've done this, and then I'm going to determine which one's larger. So I'll do that down here. Well, I'm going to say size or area. Area 1 is equal to triangle 1 dot, what is the name? Oh, what is the name of the method? Get area. Get area. Okay, so that gets me the area of triangle 1. Area of triangle 2 is equal to triangle 2 dot get area. And then I'm going to say if area 1 is greater than area 2, then triangle if area 1 is bigger, then I want to print out the info for area 1. Otherwise, I'm going to print out the info for area 2, for triangle 2, because triangle 2 must be bigger or the same. So what happens if they're both the same? Oh. This should be, I guess this should be down. This should be down here. No, what happens if they're both the same size? Did it say anything about that? All right, it doesn't say what happens if they're both the same size. I'm just gonna run this and see what happens. I guess I'll use this data. Enter base length 1, 3, 4, 4, 5. It doesn't say which one it is. But anyway, it looks like it does what it says it's supposed to do. Anyway, so I've given you enough information for that one. I think I gave too much information. Let's go look at the next one. This one, winning team. All right. So I'm gonna make a new REPL. And I'm going to copy all this. And I'm going to copy some starting code here. Okay, so what are we supposed to do? Complete the Teams class implementation for the instance method get win percentage. The formula is that. Okay, so that's the percentage. That's the formula. Use floating point division. Okay, that's a single slash. So if the input is the Ravens, and then 13 wins, 3 losses, I suppose. Wins, losses, the output is congratulations, Team Ravens has a winning average. However, if the input is this, 80 and 82, and the team name is Angels, Team Angels has a losing average. All right. Okay. So we have a class called Team, and I wish I could make this thing. My thing used to always be on, but it's not anymore. Anyway, okay, so this class has got 3 attributes. It's got a name attribute, it's got a number of wins attribute, it's got a number of loses attribute. And I guess we're supposed to write we're supposed to write a method called that. So I'm just gonna do that. Def get win percentage, that. We just got to do the selfie. And it's going to be, this is the formula, almost. It's almost the formula. So paste. I don't see a paste. Okay. But it's not team wins, it's self.team wins. Oh no, I gotta name it something. Actually, I'm returning this thing, so I can be really fancy and just do return self.team wins divided by self dot team wins plus self dot team losses. That's because this is the same as that. This is the same as that. This is the same as that. We've got a problem here. We're going to be dividing by 0. Have we done, we're in chapter 9. We haven't talked about exceptions yet, have we? Exceptions are in chapter 10. We are doing, we have a divide by 0 exception possibly happening here, but I guess we're not going to worry about it. See, if the team wins is 0 and the team losses is 0, this is going to be 0. And you can't divide by 0. I don't care what the denominator is. The numerator can't be 0. In fact, let's test it. Let's see what happens when we do. Let's put data in. Okay, so the reason we're doing this, the reason they want you to do this, put this here, is so when they test it, they can put your whole program in there and have that be a module for another program, and they can just exercise this class here. You just exercise that thing. Because this is an if statement and your actual regular old code is the block of this if statement, this thing tests to see this is a special variable called, and this special variable is the name of your program. And if the name of your program is this, then it's going to execute all this. If the name of your program is not this, that means that this thing is executing as a module for some other program, namely the test program, namely the program that's testing your code here. So I just wanted to mention that. That's what this is for. Really, we don't need this. We could put this indented and have it be, the code that executes, but then it wouldn't be able to test the module directly. So you probably wouldn't get all the points. All right, so I've done that. Okay, so we create a new instance of a team. We're going to read what the team name is. Team name. We're going to read what the number of wins is as an integer, and we're going to read the number of, ask the user for the number of losses as an integer. And we set the team name to that. The team wins that. Team saying that it uses this method, which is this, and prints out that if it's winning, prints out that as it's losing. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say what the winning average is. I'm gonna mess with this a little bit just because I want to see what it is. I'm going to say this, AVG, and I'm going to write here, I'm going to say AVG equals that. So that way I got it separate, and then I can print it out here. I'm going to print it out, AVG. And I'll print this out too, because I want to see. Okay, I want to prove to myself. All right, let's run this. And team name, let's do Ravens. Ravens. Wins of 13 and losses of 3. All right, yeah, it's 0.8125. This is the average, and it's over 50%. It's over 0.5. See, so let's try this again. Team name of engines, and 80, 82, and as a losing average, and 80 over 80 plus 82 would be this. It's just less than 50%, so it would be a losing average. Anyway, so you can adapt this to that. All right, the last one.
For that problem, we want to leave that whole float
This?
numbers? Yes.
No. I just added that in there.
Oh,
You're,
okay.
yeah, you're only
Because
gonna,
I know, I'm wondering, okay, we only left it there just because you want to see.
just because I want to see this, I
You want to
threw
test
that
it.
in there. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And,
Because
and I'm purposely like leaving these remnants in there, so you have to, you and others have to be smart enough to know, oh, he's just showing me that, you know,
okay.
to make it this, I got to read the directions carefully and whatever.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
And
One more thing. Can you please go back? I saw on line, let me see, line 24. That was the default. That was a default. That was already in the
yeah. Yes, it was.
Can you tell me why it say none and zero? Can you explain?
Because we want the name to be a string. We don't want it to be a number, and so we're initializing. Yeah.
And okay, that's why we left. They had specific put it as a string.
Yes.
And line 25 and 26 is like an integer.
Yes.
I see. And then is that why we? I mean, why do we use zero there, but not any other number? Is that like a start out?
We could put any number in there, but 0 is probably a good number to start with, just in case if it never gets defined. In fact, I was going to test to see what happens when we do wins of 0 and wins of 0 and losses of 0. I want to see if we get a divide by 0 error. Yes, we do. We get a 0 division error.
Division error. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's what I wonder, because it was already there. So I'm curious why it say one is say none and the other one is a 20 instead of any other number. And now I understand it's because they want to force the line to be an integer.
Yes.
I mean a string.
Yes.
And the other two lines are integer.
Yes.
And okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Oftentimes the defaults don't matter at all, because when you're writing the program and you're executing the program, you would never end up having an object with this, like this, but it's kind of like you have to put something there. So, you could just do this, the team name is nothing, but it's nice to put something to know that, like, so if you do see that, like we're printing some stuff out and you do see that, like, what happens if you, did something like, let's say you forgot this line or something and you run it and, you're going, okay, my team is test 3 and I got, 3 wins and 4 losses and it's got team none. Oh, geez. Oh, I must have forgot to put that in there, so it's kind of like.
Yeah, because sometimes I saw other people when they did the code, they put like self.teamName equal team name, like self.name equal name and self.something equals the same thing. But here we got none and 0, 0. So it's a little bit.
Okay, so if you see this, you mean?
Yeah,
like
yes.
Okay, well, that would only be if that were passed in as a parameter.
Oh, I see. Okay, now I got it. Okay.
That would
all right,
work.
thank you. I see. Okay.
All right.
Now I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Whatever. All right, so let's do this.
It was none.
Well, I know, but
I know somebody gonna go in and say, "What is that?" if they don't watch the whole video, they're gonna. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so let's do this last one here. I'm gonna create something called that. Over here. And go here and teams and 128 and create a REPL. This one, paste. And let's go copy this stuff over. Copy. I know why sometimes it's like this. Okay. All right, that's the comments above, and let's take the starting code here. Put it here. And given two integers as user inputs that represent the number of drinks to buy and the number of bottles to restock. Create a vending machine object that performs the following operations. Let's look over here. Purchases input number of drinks, restocks input number of bottles. Reports inventory. Okay, so all right, let's see how this thing looks. Create the machine object, purchase input number of drinks. What are they? I don't even know what that means. Okay, well, I guess I'll figure it out. Okay, so let's start by, this is the vending machine class. I guess we already have the class. Yeah, we already have the class. So we're just going to use the class. All right, the first thing is create a vending machine object. Okay, vend1. Vend1 is equal to vending machine, nothing. Okay, and then purchase number of input drinks. Okay, vend1 dot purchase oh, I gotta ask them, ask how many input drinks. Is that it? Input, enter number of drinks to purchase. I think that's what they mean. And so that's gonna, oh, I gotta integerize it, don't I? So I gotta put 3 of them here. Okay, so this asks the user to enter a number of drinks to purchase, and then the user enters that number and so this thing gets replaced with that number, and then this thing is going to take that number and take that string of characters that looks like numbers and turn it into an integer number that can be added and subtracted and multiplied and so on. And so that's going to go right here. And that is now going to be an argument into this method for vend1. That's this thing. And so that's going to set, it's going to subtract that amount from the number of bottles that it has, that this vending machine has. So that, so is that clear, or should I break that down into 3 or 4 lines?
No, I think that's good.
It's clear, okay.
Yes,
Good.
Thank you.
So then we'll do this for, now we're going to restock, vend1 dot restock some amount, and we're going to ask the user the amount. We're going to have to integerize it, so I'll put that there, and then we're going to input, and then we're going to say enter number of bottles restock. And then here we're going to report the inventory. Well, I guess that's just vend1 dot report. Now this is just too easy. 5 to 17 bottles. Whoop-de-doo. All right. Well. So is that it? We're done with chapter 9? Yes, looks like we're done with chapter 9. So I don't know, did I talk a lot about, did I lecture chapter 10 or did I just start doing the assignments? I think I lectured.
We didn't start chapter 10 at all.
Okay,
except for only the 3 labs that I think somebody needed. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Somebody asked about that.
I don't know if you want to do it now or you can do it on this coming week. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's see.
I think we're pretty much with the schedule now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. Chapter 10 is, I guess we are still a little behind. We should be in modules.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, why don't I plan on 2 lectures next week, and I'll cover 10 and 11, and then is next week the last week?
I know. Yeah.
Is it?
It is. Yes. Because we on next week is December. See, right now it's December 6th, and December 11 is the week 16. That would be on chapter 12.
All right.
Maybe you can record or post it, and when you post the recordings, we can just go in and watch whenever. But yeah. If I know whenever you record it, I don't mind to go in and because I like to see when you code it live. That's why.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Today's I do have some other stuff I got to do today I got my other class too. I'm kind of behind there. So why don't I will get through these 3 chapters this week.
Okay.
But I may record one of them like offline, like if I have some time. Yeah. And I may fill in chapter 10 because chapter 11 isn't really that. I don't think chapter 11 is really that big. It's all stuff you already know already is the thing. So we're getting into the chapters where it's stuff you already know and you've been doing all along, but it's kind of like it's just now telling you this is what you've learned, and just more about modules and importing modules and being able to use you write a class, you define a class and it's in a file, and then you have some other program and some other file and you want to use that class, then you can just do this import thing, and then you can use the class and so on. So this kind of talks about that and how you can how easy it is to reuse your code.
Oh, okay.
And that's interesting. And then 12 is kind of it's files, and the only reason I sort of get you into files is because it's so far in this class the only inputs you've ever done are from the keyboard.
Yes.
And it's nice to be able to read in a bunch of data from a file and then write a bunch of data back out into the file again. It's really easy, but I just thought I'd show you that in this last chapter. So
next class, are we repeating? I mean, review of some of this stuff before we actually started the new, for the 148. On the first part of 148, we do a lot of review, don't we?
We do. We start with classes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
In fact, we actually, we touch on a little bit of everything here.
Okay.
Classes is pretty important, and so yeah. Okay. We go with classes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Classes is so important that we really should cover it in both to reinforce it in 148 too. So you'll watch when you watch the video, you'll kind of see I talk about it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I will see you.
Thank you.
See you next time.
This week, yeah. This week, yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Yeah.